Good morning. I'm Carl with the Hondo Public Library. Did you know that every book that you've ever read is just a different combination of 26 different letters? Well, unless you're reading in a different script, of course. But have you ever really stopped and thought about our alphabet? Why 26 letters? Why those shapes? And why those sounds? Let's answer those questions and more in today's episode of Friday Facts and Fun. Most of the world's first writing systems weren't alphabets, but rather logographies, meaning that they encoded semantic data, the meaning of a word, rather than phonetic data, or how a word is pronounced. Chinese characters are an example of a logographic script, as are Egyptian hieroglyphs. Egyptian hieroglyphs are of particular importance to the story of our alphabet. For writing languages other than ancient Egyptian and for transcribing names, some hieroglyphs were chosen not for their meaning but for their sound. This is called the rebus principle. These hieroglyphs became further and further simplified until they became the Phoenician alphabet, which eventually became the Greek alphabet, then the Etruscan alphabet, and finally the modern Latin alphabet. I'm not going to go through the history of every single letter, but here are a few showcases. The letter Alp, representing the head of an ox, became the Greek letter alpha, which became our modern letter A. The letter Nachash, representing a snake, became the Greek letter Nu, which became our modern letter N. And then the letter Dag, representing a fish, became the Greek letter Delta, which became our modern letter D. And now we arrive at the classical Latin alphabet. We're not quite finished, though. The classical Latin alphabet originally had only 20 letters, missing G, K, U, Y, W, and Z. Greek was a prestigious second language spoken by many upper-class Romans. The Greek alphabet, while essentially a cousin of the Latin alphabet, had some letters that the Latin alphabet lacked: kappa, upsilon, and zeta. The Romans incorporated these letters as K, Y, and Z. So if it wasn't for the Greeks, we would never have gotten YYZ by Rush. The Etruscan language, the most immediate predecessor of the Latin script, didn't differentiate between the unvoiced k sound and the voiced g sound. So Latin originally used the letter C to refer to them both. This could cause ambiguity on the reading of a word, and to solve this, Latin scribes added a stroke to the letter C whenever it was voiced, which is how we got the modern letter G. Another ambiguity that existed was between the letter V as a vowel U and as a consonant W. That's right, in the time of classical Latin, the letter V didn't yet make the V sound. Caesar's famous remark, Veni, vidi, vici, I came, I saw, I conquered, would have been pronounced as Veni, vidi, vici. It wasn't until the Middle Ages that scribes started writing consonant and vowel V as two separate letters. But by this time, V had evolved and actually did make the V sound, and there was no longer a letter left in continental Europe to write the W sound. The solution? Duplicate the letter U, or V, remember the same thing at this point really, to make a new letter for the W sound. This is why W is called double U and not double V, even though that seems to make more sense. We're now at our modern 26-letter English alphabet, but actually, English went on to add a few more letters that have fallen out of favor in the modern day. A sound that takes two letters to write is known as a digraph. Digraphs like CH for the ch sound, SH for the sh sound, and EA for the e sound are the result of Latin's alphabet not being 100% perfectly suited to writing English. Take it a step further and combine a digraph into one letter by connecting the letters, and you get a ligature. Ash and Ethel are two ligatures that were once separate letters in the English alphabet. Eventually, writing the ligature fell back out of favor and the two letters returned to digraphs, seen in many British spellings of English words. In American English, most of these words don't even have the digraphs anymore, just the letter E. Moving on to consonants, English has a few more consonants that Latin doesn't have. Arguably, the most unique of English's consonants are the th and the sounds, as in thin and this. Only 7% of the world's languages feature this sound, and it can be very hard for native speakers of other languages to learn to pronounce it. Think of a stereotypical French accent, where they approximate the sound like zis, or Caribbean accents, where they may pronounce it with a D sound like dis. Modern Greek shares this sound with English, where it is written with the letter theta, but Latin didn't have this sound, so they threw theta to the curb. Before English used the Latin alphabet, it used the runic alphabet, which did have a letter for th. The rune thorn was taken to represent the th sound, and retooled slightly to make it look more like it belonged in the modern alphabet. Poor Thorn wouldn't be long for this world. When the printing press was invented, it really only accounted for continental European languages, so pieces of type featuring Thorn weren't commonly made. For a while, some people tried to approximate the shape of Thorn by using the letter Y. Those old-timey signs you see, like Ye Old Pub, are actually supposed to be The Old Pub. That's a thorn there masquerading as a Y. Eventually, the digraph th became preferred for writing the sound, which is how French scribes had been transcribing the Greek theta sound. Other runes that shared similar fates as Thorn were Yog and Win. Yog represents a h sound that is no longer found in English, and early users of the printing press tried to approximate it with a z. The Scottish origin name Mackenzie was originally something like Mackenzie, but just as in Ye Old Pub, people forgot that the z there wasn't actually a z but an imposter rune. Win represented the W sound, but the continental European invention of the double U, or double V, did make it to type, while poor Win faded away. And that's how we arrived with our modern English alphabet. Stop by the library sometime and check out some of our different arrangements of 26 letters. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next month for Friday Facts and Fun.